Marshall in the middle.
At the scene of some horrific sights, things that maybe you wish you hadn't seen, or
Oh hell, more times than I care to remember. I think one of the very first ones, I had been working the street maybe 6 months by myself, and like I say, there was not enough police to handle the volume of calls that we had, so we were running from call to call to call, and there was rarely any backup. But this was before we had domestic violence laws. So if a husband beats up a wife and the wife says, well, I don't want to prosecute, well, there's nothing we could do. They wouldn't even let us write a report. And I had a lady who kept getting beat up by her husband, and she would file a report, but then she'd change her mind. I don't want to prosecute. And I had probably taken 2 or 3 reports on her just in the few months that I was working. And I kept telling her, I said, it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. If you don't follow through with this, there's nothing we can do. And she was hemming and hawing and, oh, well, I want to, but I don't want to. And they had a little girl. And fast forward, we're on a barricaded somebody call. The SWAT team's on the way. And we had the place surrounded. And this lady, I didn't know it was her at the time, but she calls in and calls 911 and says her ex-boyfriend or ex-husband is following her, and he's got a gun and he's threatening to kill her. And they're coming down the highway to an exit that's really near where this barricaded subject was. So I told radio, well, I'll leave here and I'll go meet her as she gets off the exit ramp. Excuse me. And there's, because communications were so horrible back then, the call takers got her on the line, getting updates of where she is. She says she's getting off the highway at the exit that I'm not 30 seconds away from. She describes the car, and as I'm cresting the hill, she's stuck at the red light. And I think that's the last thing I heard from dispatch, was she was stuck behind another car at the red light at the top of the ramp, and he was getting out of the car. And as I crested the hill, he was firing the second shot through the windshield of the car. And he shot 3 or 4 total, killed her right there. Her 3-year-old daughter's in the seat next to her. He turned around and he looked at me as I'm slamming on the brakes and getting ready to jump out. And he puts a gun up in his rib cage and pulls the trigger. And it's 44 Magnum. So it does some damage. He's dead right there. She's dead. The little girl is in shock. And I'm basically by myself. And I got to control the entire scene, get the ambulance there, get the little girl taken care of, all that, because there's just nobody else there to do it. And so that was my first, I guess, baptism by fire thing. And so, a lot of that happened over the years. And some of them are tough.
Marshall in the middle.